We are currently studying international relations and development under the Institution of Diplomacy and International Study at Rangsit University International College in Thailand. So we are very honored to be a part of this presenter for the post-secondary education conference today.
Yeah, we are also obliged to have the chance to present a research paper that we conducted in our university on the topic of sustainable education in Myanmar. The presentation on our paper is given as the light to sustainable education in Myanmar.
So let's begin our presentation now. So this is our content for today's presentation. So we will cover the role of the government from the past until now, and also we are going to mainly focus on the medium of instruction and the curriculum development and internationalized high school system and data analysis of the data development and role of various actors, and a conclusion and with a discussion question. Next slide, please. So first of all, education play a critical role as a part of development sector of our nation. So Myanmar is as an underdevelopment nation, underdevelopment country. So assisting quality education is a very important sector. So since 1989, the education system in Myanmar had changed. We can say that by the government have taken with the all ethnic area. So we can say that it is a selfish nationalist education movement, and also the selfish economic interest for them. Like I can say that they are oppressed, or we can say that it's an oppression movement from the government side through the ethnic area. Also, I don't mean that also at only the ethnic area is also have affected in the mainland Burma or in the rural area of the people in the Myanmar. So in this one, I would like to talk about the past a little bit. So Burma is a country that occupied under British. So after the current government took over of the ethnic group, so the country system of the education system had changed to only ethnic, to only as a Burmese language. So we can say holding a nationalist movement, leave the ethnic language, leave the ethnic people behind by using a Burmese language and as a main language. So due to the nationalist movement, several ethnic armed group and monastic school the main and refugee camp and displaced NDP, displaced IDP camp are serving the education only in those are the organization that provides education in the mother tongue, which is Somra is Kachin, so I'm Shan, so which is this organization that provide education in their own language, which is informal one. So this is the effect that we can see. And in this introduction, I would like to say that in order to reform the education in Myanmar, to reform education system in Myanmar, politics is a main constraint of the education reform. Next slide, please. So the medium of instruction. So in Burma, we have a very old-fashioned of the education system. We discovered that education system in Burma, I have mentioned that provide by many non-formal non-government organizations. So many organizations appear because of the the mainstream of the education from the mainland did not fit with the people in the state and in that part like specific area. So like I would say that like a case example from me and also from Samura. So I did not get like education from the former education from Burma. So I would say that like, I used to go to school until I'm two standard. So the Burmese language was an official language to teach in the school. So the teachers are from the mainland Burma. So I am growing up in a family that like speak Shan language daily, and the teacher cannot speak Shan. So the teacher only speak Burmese and I speak Shan. So we have a very difficult to communicate each other. And it is a fact. I mean, not only Shan, I mean, it's a fact. Our research also found that like it's a fact that people in ethnic area that starting their learning process with second language is very difficult for them to grow as much as they can and to learn about they can and to give a values on Burmese education system. So in another way, people will say that like, is it good that the children would grow up with a multi-language skill? So, but as a learning outcome, I have observed from the matriculation exam passing rates. The people from the ethnic area have a very low passing rate, and only the people in the mainland Myanmar, they get a very high passing rate, and the people in the ethnic area, they did not get a very high mark. So this is a problem that we can say that is this indirectly oppress us not to grow and not to get a better education. And the children in the ethnic area, they won't be able to be a doctor. They won't be able to be engineer because they did not get a very high mark. So they fed up on this education system. Next slide, please. So this is like I would like to I have found the very interesting data, which is school attendance rates by the state and region in Myanmar and neighbor attendance rates. So we have found that like in Shan State, we have a very high. The higher one is in Shan State, that like the children did not like attend the school as very high, which is 21.9%. You can see that like a lot mainly in the ethnic area, the children did not, the higher race and never attended the school, and mainly in the ethnic state. According to the data that like this that I have found, like the literature rate among the nation is like 89 point something. I can say that 89. But in Shan State, only the literature rate that like the people can read and write only 61%. Next slide, please.
Okay, for this part, I'll be explaining about the importance of curriculum development for this current situation. So the curriculum development is important, right? So curriculum development has like very important role, not just for the university, schools, students and structure, but also as a society for the whole. So the curriculum development in Myanmar is like very important threat for the quality education. Ever since like 1999, curriculum reform of Myanmar that was used until 2016. according to the research, the curriculum is outdated and it cannot like meet the necessary 21st century knowledge and skills. So apart from that, the old curriculum mainly focuses on the theories and facts. So most teacher in Myanmar, like they prefer like rote learning system. We are memorizing texts to be able to answer the questions in the exam, especially in the matriculation exam. So all the student need to do is that memorize all the factual knowledge and texts, and they need to go the approach for the exam-based evaluation system, which do not allow them to think critically, logically, creatively, and like to be able to analyze the data and discuss freely and actively discuss in the classroom, and also to express their thoughts, thinking freely in the classroom. And that's why the Ministry of Education implemented the new curriculum reform in primary education starting from the 2016 to 2017 academic year. But that doesn't turns out to be good because of the new curriculum reform, like the capacity of teacher. I mean, yeah, although the new curriculum reform for primary education was introduced, the capacity of teachers is another challenge for that curriculum implementation. So Myanmar teachers from Myanmar, they are very used to like textbook-based teaching. So it would be very challenging for them to change teaching methodology, including the assessment system to achieve and also to achieve the expected learning outcomes for students from the various curriculum. Yeah, for the new curriculum reform. Yeah, and also for evaluation system, there is sufficient number of teaching, the needs for teaching materials and evaluation system are also things to be considered. So teachers must create their active engagement and instructive learning environment to have students improve their learning ability. And teachers should also determine teaching strategies, learning aid, and teaching objective for each specific learning process that student needs to achieve. So basically, like there's some uh, let's say improvement needed to be done in terms of outdated curriculum, new curriculum reform, and improving capacities of teachers in terms of evaluation system. And also, the next slide is in this case, I'll be explaining discussing the barriers to be able to internationalize high school system of Myanmar, which we also know as matriculation exam. So for the part of exam system and assessment, the education system of Myanmar is regarded as in bad situation, even as a comparison in Asia. And the high school evaluation system of Myanmar is not internationally recognized for overseas university entrance. I have also experienced this because I needed to complete at least 2 years of university, whether it is distance education or the full-time undergraduate program, because they didn't they do not recognize matriculation exam as the internationalized high school. Yeah, so the quality of Myanmar education is deteriorated by the fact of rote learning and the overcrowded classroom that students cannot concentrate well and discuss, and yeah, they cannot get very good academic performances. Yeah, and the whole education system, ever since primary education, it lacks analytical and critical thinking skills. And that's why the students are taught with the rote learning method. And to be able to pass the matriculation exam, good memorizing skill, which is rote learning, is very important for them. Yeah. For me, I also have self experience to pass the exam. Like we are supposed to memorize all the texts and to be able to pass and to be able to pass the exam with metric distinction. So yeah, we can also learn for our experience as well. And also for another thing, okay, to be able to have solved this problem, we have found some suggested solution. So for in terms of secondary education curriculum, like the Ministry of Education of Myanmar developed like new curriculum and implemented the curriculum in class starting from like 2016, I guess. So the new curriculum is reported that the curriculum contents, it has like 9 subjects, including Myanmar English, mathematics, and another new things are science, social studies, morality and civics, and life skill, physical education, and art, which seems to be very practically useful in real life. So yeah, this is some kind of improvement. And also for the pedagogy, teachers needs to be trained properly for the teaching method. So better pedagogy is also important to be implemented. And another interesting things that we found out is that the host, which is like higher order thinking skills, which is developed by uh, Benjamin Bloom since 1956. So it includes by remembering, understanding the content, and applying the knowledge that they have learned, analyzing the data or the things they have learned, and revising what they have learned, and creating new things. So in this learning method, this host higher order thinking skill will help students learn more effectively to learn new languages and new contents, right, to be able to learn much more effectively. And here's God Sai Kham Kyauk, he will also explain more of the okay.
So the curriculum development was responded by the Ministry of Education. So after according to what Somra have said, like the issue of related would respond to the Ministry of Education after the general election in 2015, which is like the NLD government like has launched the strategy and the plannings for reform the reform the education system in Burma. So they have launched many policy to implement in order to reform a new like education system, which should like be called education for work and lifelong learning. So they have focused on many like variety, so including like technical, informal education, technical school, and vocational school, and also like teacher training, and also these all the plans will lead to lead the country from lower income country to medium income country by 2030. So this is the pathway that NLD government have planned to achieve from 2016 to finish this one in 2021. So you can see that this is like the government also implement one policy, which is to encourage the million of the children that out of the school to have a chance to come to attend school to get in a education system again, which is non-formal primary education one. So here you can see like to develop the old one to a new one, and also implement alternative one for the children in the country. Okay, next slide, please.
Okay, this data shows that the percentage of government expenditure on education sector, like we have data study from 2011 until 2019, even though there was increased usage of expert tutorial education in 2013, there's some decrease. And however, we can see like government is showing the data, their uses of budget from all education sector. We can see like little bit of like increase over time until 2019. So and another data shows that the percentage of number of trained teacher in upper secondary education. In this case, we can see like we still need to train more teacher for better pedagogy or the teaching method. So we just have this data study from 2016 to 2018. So we can see decrease of trained teacher percentage. So we can see we need to improve for that. And for the percentage of enrollment rate in primary school, like we can see increase, like starting from 2010 to 2017. Okay. This is good sign, and this is also a good sign of like, so many people are enrolling because the adolescents out of school, the dropping out percentage, so it is decreasing starting from 2014. So which means a lot of people, they are entering lower secondary education. And for this data, this is like overview of the percentage of enrollment rate in secondary school. So starting from like 1988, we can see like dramatic increase of percentage of enrollment in secondary education. This is nationwide data until 2018. Okay, this is the showing of data that we can analyze and discuss about the improvements of education sector in Myanmar. So in this case, I'll discuss about the role of teacher and parents for improvement of better education. In terms of social status of teacher, it's obvious that like the interrelationship of three key stakeholders in education, like parent, educators, students, and the shifting roles they play like in a very like important in the society. And the connection of the children with teachers in the setting of school, as well as the engagement of the children with their parents in the family, in the context of the home and the community, that affects the result of children education because they are interacting every day with teachers and parents. So they can learn from teachers and also from parents. And also for the life influence and effect, teachers like they have always been traditionally regarded as one of five germs, like in which like Buddha, scripture, monks, and parents are also included and referred to in the same role to give respect and to like give devotion. So that means teachers can also be referred as substitute parents in school, and which becomes like together with the countless responsibilities for the development of the student, even in the decision-making process. So it is also well-known fact in Myanmar that teachers can do and can have like life influence effect on students because they are interacting every day in school with teacher and students. And in terms of financial difficulty, before that, conservative and teaching practices. In this case, like most Myanmar teachers, like they are highly conservative and traditionalist, and they tend to like resist changes in terms of teaching methods. As a consequence, although teachers are invited to be trained in new teaching methods and to have modern classroom strategy to like to tackle or to solve the rote learning problem, teachers continue to use their old teaching practice in the classroom. And that means it is a must to modify the teachers' attitude through the teachers training program, as well as raising or improving their professionalism in teaching. Yeah. So it is so teachers in Myanmar, they have influential role, obviously, and teachers are also a key factor to achieve quality education. And we can also see the involvement of parents in both urban and rural areas. They might have financial problem for the rural areas because they don't know much about the importance of education to support their children. So they tends to avoid to support their children to be educated. Meanwhile, the parents from the urban area, they are well know about the importance of education, so they tend to support their children to be well educated. This we can see the gaps between parents' involvement in rural areas and urban areas. Okay, another slide. Okay, this is the role of international organizations and non-government organization, of course. And there has been a traditional way of managing the education system in local culture and control in the educational sector in many countries, even in Myanmar. So nowadays the education system tends to be more internationalized according to the international curriculum through adapting the culture and social cohesion and apply its specific education system. That's why it is inevitable that the education system of Myanmar has been deteriorated by the low quality of education and the accessibility for the education in rural areas. And also, besides that, it is evident by all citizens that the state-run education by the government is in bad situation in terms of teaching, training, and the infrastructure provided by the government. And that's why the roles of international organization and their contribution to help develop the education of Myanmar becomes very important. Yeah, we can see that in terms of infrastructure, UNICEF has been helping for the school building, etc., and also other organizations that I cannot mention precisely. They are having capacity building training for the teachers, and many other organization and non-government organization. They are providing non say of education in remote areas, which the government education system cannot cover, in conflict affected areas. And other NGOs contributions is also important that they are which government they are doing in the providing education. For example, we can see as a example, for me, I'm from Kachin State and I joined the National Community School, which is from the National Development Institute. They have been providing good enough education after the matriculation exam, and also many research and civic engagement are being done by this organization. I'm sure there will be many other organizations. They have been providing better education for the not just post-secondary education, but also for higher education level. Okay, so this is the examples of roles of international organizations and non-government organizations. So to conclude our research paper, the discussion was focused on the issues about the education system in Myanmar to achieve quality education, focusing on the language barriers for the ethnic groups, curriculum development, and standardizing high school system to be able to have international level. And also developing quality education is important concern for Myanmar, and the responsible policies implementation by the government, the community involvement and contribution by international organizations and NGOs are very significantly needed by analyzing the improvement data for education development sector in Myanmar.
So finally, we would like to say that like the implement of the education for work and lifelong learning, if the government can continue working on that, this would be very appreciated. I mean, like if the government can achieve that policy or have a new policy to drive this kind of policy. So another recommending is about to improve the secondary education system, because like also now they like if they fail only one subject, they have to retake it all next year. So I think like for me, like personally, I take GED to be able to go to university to get a high education in Thailand. So if I fail one subject, I only needed to take again like only one subject. So we should like, that's why like the children in Myanmar, after they fail many times, they did not want to continue to study, because like it's the cost also, the cost is also expensive, and also this is the comment for us to get a sustainable education in Myanmar. Thank you.
And also we would like the audience to do your discussion. How does post-secondary education can contribute to sustainable education in Myanmar? Yeah. You guys can also discuss and ask further questions.
အဲ့ဒါတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့အဲ့ဒါတွေမလုပ်ဘူးအမှန်တိုင်းပြောပြရင်ပေါ့နော်ဆရာမဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်မြင်တဲ့သမျှအရာဆိုရင်တော့ဘာလဲဆိုတော့တို့ကပတ်စံနဲ့ပတ်သက်လာလိုက်မယ်အဲ့ဒီပြဿနာကရှမ်းနေဆိုရင်လေဟိုကျောင်းသက်ဟိုဆရာမတွေပြန်လုပ်တဲ့ခါကျရင်တော့ပတ်စံနဲ့
salary ကအဆင်မပြေတော့ဟုတ်
အဆင်မပြေဘူးတို့ကပြန်မလုပ်ချင်ဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါတော့ government sector နဲ့ဆိုင်သွားပါပေါ့သူက sufficiency salary နဲ့အဆင်မပြေနေဘူးဒါပေမဲ့အခုရှမ်းပြည်မှာကြတော့ဟိုအဲ့လိုမျိုး effective ဖြစ်တဲ့ဟာကျတော့ပေါ်လာပါအဲ့လိုမျိုးမလဲဆိုတော့သူတို့ monetic school တွေပေါ်လာတယ်ဘာကာတွေပေါ်လာတယ်အဲ့ဒီဘာကာတွေကတော့နည်းနည်းအထောက်အကူဖြစ်လာတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့ဒီဆရာမတွေကဘာကြောင့်ပြန်မလုပ်ချင်တာလဲဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါဆိုကျွန်တော်မလေးလာခဲ့ဘူးပေါ့ဆိုတော့
နောက်ဆမမြောက်ပြောရတဲ့ research နှစ်ခုကပေါ့လေအဲ့လိုမျိုးနည်းနည်း contract ဖြစ်နေလို့ခံစားရတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးလည်းဘာကြောင့်လဲဆိုတော့ပြန်တွေးမိရလေအဲ့လိုမျိုးဘယ်ပြောမလဲ contract ဖြစ်နေအဲ့လိုမျိုးpassion ကကောင်းကောင်းမရှိခဲ့လို့ထင်တယ်ပေါ့လေအဲ့လိုမျိုးကျောင်းသားတွေကအဲ့လိုမျိုးဆယ်တန်းအောင်ပြီးတော့အမှန်တကယ်ကောင်းတယ်ပါညာဆိုရင် PED သွားကြပေါ့လေသူကတကယ်ရောအဲ့လိုမျိုး education ပိုင်းမှာတကယ်စိတ်ဝင်စားပြီးတော့တကယ်တင်ချင်တဲ့သူဟုတ်လားမဟုတ်လားဆိုတာလည်းမသိခဲ့ဘူးပေါ့ကျွန်တော်ရဲ့တကယ်ချင်းဆိုလည်းရှိကြတယ်ပေါ့အဲ့လိုမျိုး PED ရောတော့တက်လိုက်တာပဲကျောင်းစာလို့စားမှာမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုပြီးပြောတာကွာအဲ့လိုမျိုးဆိုတော့သူကအဲ့လိုမျိုးသူတွေဖြစ်ကောင်းဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်ပေါ့လေအဲ့လိုမျိုးassign လုပ်တဲ့နေရာမှာသွားချင်တာတို့ကောင်းကောင်းစာမတင်ပေးချင်တာတို့ပေါ့ကိုသူတို့ရဲ့ဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲ life passion ရဲ့သူတို့ဘယ်လိုမျိုး sector မှာစိတ်ဝင်စားရတယ်ဆိုတာဒီစာမသိလိုက်ရတဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေဖြစ်ကောင်းဖြစ်နိုင်မယ်ပေါ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးသူတွေဖြစ်ကောင်းဖြစ်နိုင်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လို့အဲ့လို case တွေရှိရတယ်လို့သုံးသပ်မိရပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါလည်းဘာကြောင့်လဲဆိုတော့ဟိုဘက်ပြန်ရောက်လာပေါ့ဒီကျောင်းတောက်လျှောက်တက်လာတဲ့အချိန်မှာအဲ့လို critical thinking skill တွေမရှိခဲ့ဘူးအဲ့မျိုးအကုန်လုံးပေါ့အဲ့ curriculum နဲ့ပြန်ဆိုင်တာပြန်ပါတယ်အဲ့မျိုးဆိုတော့ကျောင်းကအဲ့လိုမျိုးကိုယ့်ရဲ့ passion မသိဘူးအဲ့လိုတွေတွေးပေါ်ရမှလည်းမသိဘူးဒီတိုင်းပဲကျောင်းပြီးလာတာမျိုးဖြစ်တဲ့ education မှာမွေးဖွားလာတဲ့သူတွေဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုတော့ဒီလိုလည်းရှိနေတယ်လို့ထင်ပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်ကြတော့ဟိုလိုမျိုး field သွားပြီး data collect တာမျိုးမလုပ်ခဲ့ပါဘူးဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲ paper တွေရောအများကြီးဖတ်ခဲ့တယ် reference တွေလည်းရှိပါတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးဖတ်ချင်တယ်ဆိုရင်လည်း reference list ဒီပို့ပေးလို့ရပါတယ်ဟိုလိုမျိုး Atiga two ya the paper patebo allow pape. Follow quantitative yeah qualitative hope how did I Java assignment lemu research lemu pare. So I would do it so two using it up to the house I feel don't get Asian challenges, perspective and options in government disorder and declining throughout the Australian National University published low tire
Okay. ခုနတော့ဟိုဆရာတို့လည်းဒီဟာကိုဟိုတကယ် fee မှာသွားပြီးတော့လေ့လာနိုင်တာတော့မဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုတော့ primary data တော့မရဘူးဒါပေမဲ့စာတွေအများကြီးဖတ်လိုက်ပြီးတော့ secondary data တွေပေါ်မှာအခြေခံပြီးတော့ဒီစာတမ်းလေးကိုပြုစုထားတာပေါ့နော်ဟုတ်ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်